Brung people have been masters of this craft for as long as their history has been recorded. For them, honey hunting, or mori, is a sacred inheritance. The skills are not taught in a formal school but are absorbed from a young age, watching fathers, watching uncles and grandfathers prepare their tools and tell stories of past hunts. These communities live in close-knit villages, often in remote areas where traditional livelihoods are essential for survival. Their identity is woven into the cliffs, the forests, and the bees themselves. These are people who can read the language of the forest like a book. They know which flowers are blooming by the scent on the wind, predicting when the honey will be at its peak. Their history is an oral one, filled with legends of the first honey hunters who were taught by forest spirits. These stories reinforce the spiritual significance of the hunt and the deep respect required. The structure within a honey hunting team is a brilliant example of teamwork and trust. There is usually a lead hunter, the quiche, who is the most experienced and the only one who descends the rope ladder to the hive. The rest of the team works from above and below, managing the ropes, preparing the smoky torches, and positioning the baskets to catch the precious honeycomb. Their lives are deeply intertwined with the cycles of nature. Honey hunting is a seasonal activity, taking place twice a year, once in the spring and again in the autumn. The history of these communities is a story of resilience, of adapting to the rhythm of the jungle and thriving in a world that many would see as inhospitable. They are true survivors. The honey hunt begins not at the cliff, but in the village. Rituals, prayer. The hunters ask for permission and protection from the forest gods, the spirits of the cliff. Once the rituals are complete, the team gathers their specialized, handmade tools and begins the arduous trek through dense jungle, a journey that can take many hours or even days. The most important tool is the rope ladder, meticulously woven from long strips of bamboo rattan. These ladders can be over 150 feet long and take weeks to construct. They also carry long poles known as tangos to cut the honeycomb from the rock face. Baskets are lowered to collect the harvested comb, and crucially, they bring bundles of green leaves and branches. When lit, this bundle, called a smoker, produces a thick, acrid smoke that helps to calm the bees, though it never completely pacifies them. The ascent is where the real test of nerve begins. The lead hunter, with his face often unprotected, starts the long, slow descent down the swaying rope ladder. Below him is a sheer drop of hundreds of feet. His teammates above act as his lifeline, managing the ropes that hold the ladder. The hunter uses the tangos with incredible precision. With one pole, he skillfully maneuvers the smoker to envelop the hive in a cloud of smoke. With another sharp-ended pole, he jabs and cuts at the base of the massive honeycomb, trying to sever it from the cliff while being swarmed by thousands of angry, stinging bees. Once a section of the comb is free, the hunter must guide it into the waiting basket, a task that requires immense strength and coordination while suspended in midair. Though they always leave a portion behind for the bees to rebuild and survive. The most immediate and obvious danger is the fall. We are talking about operating at extreme heights on a swinging, handmade ladder dangling over a precipice. A single misstep, a moment of lost grip, a failure in the rope could be fatal. Then there are the bees. The Himalayan giant honeybee is one of the most formidable insects on the planet. They are huge, and their sting is exceptionally painful. When their hive is threatened, they attack in a furious, relentless swarm. The hunters are stung dozens, sometimes hundreds of times during a single harvest. The cliffs are often slippery with moisture-loose rock, making every handhold and foothold precarious. The weather can change in an instant in these mountainous regions, with sudden gusts of wind that can send the ladder swinging violently. Furthermore, the smoke that is used to pacify the bees is thick and choking. The hunter is breathing this in for long periods, all while performing a physically demanding task. It's a total sensory assault. The deafening buzz of the bees, the pain of the stings, the blinding smoke, and the constant awareness of the dizzying height. Beyond the immediate physical risks, there is also the danger of exhaustion and dehydration. The trek to the hunting site is grueling, and the process of harvesting honey is incredibly strenuous. The lead hunter in particular is exerting a massive amount of energy while suspended on the ladder. He must maintain his strength and concentration for hours on end. A moment of weakness or a lapse in focus could lead to a critical error. Every hunt pushes the hunters to their physical and mental limits. For the communities that practice it, honey hunting is far more than an extreme way to get a sweet treat. It is the bedrock of their local economy. In these remote villages, opportunities for earning cash are scarce. The wild honey is a high-value product that can be sold or bartered in nearby towns and markets. A single successful hunt can provide a family with enough income to buy essential goods for several months. Salt oil clothing medicine. It represents a vital injection of capital into the community, supporting not just the hunters' families but the entire village. Culturally, the honey hunt is an event that binds the community together. It's a tradition that embodies their core values: courage, teamwork, respect for nature. The importance of sharing the honey and wax are distributed among the villagers, ensuring that everyone benefits. The hunt is preceded and followed by communal feasts and celebrations, reinforcing social bonds. The stories of legendary hunters and epic harvests become part of the village's folklore, inspiring the next generation. The tradition also serves as a living library of ecological knowledge. To be a successful honey hunter, you must be an expert naturalist. Flora and fauna, seasonal cycles, bee behavior, forest ecosystem balance. This knowledge is passed down through generations, ensuring the community remains deeply connected to its environment. This intimate relationship with nature fosters a strong conservation ethic. They understand that to continue harvesting the honey, they must protect the forests and the bees, making them natural guardians of their local biodiversity. Despite its ancient roots, the tradition of honey hunting is facing a barrage of modern challenges. One major threat: environmental change, deforestation, logging, expansion of agriculture. Forests the bees rely on are being destroyed, loss of habitat. Climate change alters flowering seasons. Bee populations decline, less honey. Hives are smaller. Another challenge within the communities: modern life creeps closer. Younger generations lose interest. Education, jobs in cities, safer, more lucrative options. Why risk a cliff face? Construction, tourism. The generational gap threatens ancient knowledge, skills, spiritual practices. Fewer apprentices learn from aging masters. Commercialization brings new pressures. Growing international demand. Outside brokers exploit hunters. Hunters paid a fraction of market value. Incentive to overharvest. Destructive methods. Cutting down entire tree. Destructive methods. Burning the hive. Decimated colonies threaten long-term viability. Government regulations can clash with tradition. National parks restrict access. Protected areas close off ancestral grounds. Policies without consultation can criminalize the practice. It's a fight for survival on a whole new front. The story of the honey hunter is a powerful reminder of the incredible skills and courage that lie within the human spirit. It's a window into a time when survival depended on a deep, intimate connection with the natural world. Preserving this tradition is not about keeping these communities frozen in the past. It's about honoring their knowledge, respecting their cultural identity, ensuring they can continue to thrive in a changing world. One of the most promising paths forward is through community-based ecotourism and fair trade initiatives. By allowing small, respectful groups of visitors to witness the hunt, communities can generate alternative income. This creates a direct incentive to preserve the tradition in its authentic form. By connecting hunters directly with ethical buyers, fair trade programs can ensure they receive a just price for their honey. Education is also absolutely critical. This education needs to work in two directions. The ancient ecological knowledge of the honey hunters needs to be documented and valued, perhaps even integrated into local school curriculums so that younger generations see it as a source of pride, not as a relic of the past. At the same time, the outside world needs to be educated about the importance of these traditions and the threats they face. When consumers understand the story behind the honey, they are more likely to support ethical and sustainable practices. Ultimately, the survival of the honey hunters rests in their own hands, but they need our support. Their tradition is a testament to human resilience, a living piece of our shared global heritage. It teaches us about courage in the face of incredible danger. We can help ensure that the buzz of the giant bees and